Hi you guys, this is Jamie with Whatever's Clever Boutique, and today we are going to play with some super fun vinyl and decals from 3Eleven Co. I will have everything that I used today listed and linked in the description box below, so let's go ahead and get started on these two tumblers today. We're going to start with two 32-ounce plumps from the Tipsy Magnolia. And these have a lot of surface area, so I love using these when I use different vinyls so I can get as much vinyl on that tumbler as possible. So we have this cute pastel bed and breakfast from 3Eleven Co. And then I found this spiderweb vinyl from Banff Custom Creations, and it's a peekaboo. So we went ahead and used that as well. And then this super cute campfire vinyl and decal. We're going to go ahead and cut all of that white edging off of the vinyl before we go ahead and wrap it around our tumbler to figure out what size we're going to use. So I just went and I wrapped that vinyl right around my tumbler, and I went ahead and took some scissors and just sliced right at the bottom of the tumbler there, and then a little bit over where that vinyl meets. And then we're going to go ahead and take our cutter and just cut out that piece of vinyl that we're going to wrap around that tumbler. As always, we're going to use the hinge method today to apply our vinyl. So I'm just going to cut a little piece of that backing off. I'm going to be sure my vinyl is lined up, and then I'm going to press down that little piece of exposed vinyl. And then I'm going to take my scraper tool here with the felt side so we don't scratch that vinyl, and just press that right on down on the tumbler. Now I'm going to take my X-Acto knife. I cannot find, after my move, my amazing Doobie's Treasures vinyl cutter that you can use right on the tumbler. So to cut with the X-Acto knife, I cut as straight of a line as possible right down the center seam of where the vinyl overlaps. And then I remove that top piece of vinyl, and then I lift up that bottom piece and remove that bottom piece that we sliced underneath, and that will give us a perfect seam. Now we're going to go ahead and do the same thing with our bed and breakfast vinyl. This vinyl, my vinyl must have not been straight on the cutter tool at the beginning there, so I had a little bit of vinyl on the top there that I had to cut off to make it straight. Once we get that all done, we're going to take some blue painter's tape, and we're just going to tape off that top section there where we are going to apply our glitter. Now I'm going to take some pure white paint for our bed and breakfast and just apply that right on that top of the tumbler, and I am going to do 2 coats. And I totally forgot to push record here, but I believe lamb's wool was the kind of beigey colored paint, and then I used a peach and orange pop of color paint combined to make the orange that I'm going for. So to kind of ombre these paints together, I'm just, as you can see here, going back and forth and slowly working my way up into the other one. And then once I do 2 coats of that, it surely was not perfect, but I got a somewhat blended effect there. So I'm going to go in with my epoxy method for my glitter today, and I'm going to apply that right on the top part of the tumbler there. And we're going to go ahead and do that on both tumblers, and I will just have the second tumbler sit and wait while we apply the glitter for the first one. There is no harm in doing that. As long as you're using a regular setting epoxy, that is totally fine. So for our bed and breakfast tumbler, I'm going to use Cloud 9 and Fracturals from Chase Ray Glitters. Fracturals is a larger cut of Cloud 9, I believe. They look very similar. The Cloud 9 is just quite a bit smaller. So I went ahead and just put that all over the tumbler, that Fracturals that is. And then I'm going to go back in with Cloud 9 to fill in any spots that may have epoxy still exposed. Once we get all of that glitter applied, we're going to go ahead and remove that blue tape. We definitely don't want the epoxy to cure on that blue tape, or it will just be a huge mess. I lifted a little bit of my vinyl there when I pulled up that blue tape, but luckily I was easily able to remedy it. So if you do that, just slowly press it back down. Now for our campfire tumbler, we're going to use Halos and Chantilly from Peachy Olive Glitters, and I am just going to ombre these two into one another. So I'll just kind of let you watch here. I just go back and forth. I do apologize. My hand is in the way for a lot of this. I'm trying to figure out a good filming situation so you guys can see the glittering process better. But I'm just going to slowly tap that glitter with my tumbler angled at a very steep angle onto the tumbler. And then I will move in with my Chantilly and do the same thing. And when we go back in the second time with the glitters, we're gonna go much heavier, so we start really building that blend of the two glitters together. And just like the last one, we're gonna go ahead and remove that blue tape. And then with this one, because our Halos is kind of a semi-chunky glitter, we're gonna go ahead and roll that up in some parchment paper to flatten down that glitter to make our epoxying process much smoother. Once we get that done, I'm gonna spray these with some Krylon Triple Thick to seal in that glitter. Then I'm gonna go in with 2 coats of epoxy. So I totally forgot to record. I did tape off the bottom and glitter the bottoms of these tumblers as well. So I apologize for that, but it's the same as we did before. We just taped that off and base painted and then glittered. So for our bed and breakfast tumbler, I'm gonna take that semi-transparent, very pale pink spiderweb vinyl from Banff Custom Creations, and I'm going to apply that right over that glitter. So just like we did with our vinyl, I'm gonna go ahead and line it up, and I'm going to mark where I need to cut my vinyl. and then I'm going to apply it with the hinge method. Go ahead and apply my cute little campfire nights decal from 311 Co. that coordinates with the bottom that we put on the vinyl. I'm going to hinge method this one as well, and it's always easier for me to stand my tumbler up and make sure that my decal is completely straight. That was me there checking to make sure that the seam was in the back of the vinyl, but I'm going to go ahead and apply that with the hinge method and just press that right down with the soft side of my squeegee tool. Now I'm going to take this metallic brown pinstriping tape, and I am just going to apply that right at the seam of the vinyl and glitter. Once we get that all done, we're going to go in with our 2 coats of epoxy. I use KSRESIN Liquidy Split Ultra UV, and we went ahead and just did 1 coat to cover up our spiderweb vinyl and our decal with pinstriping. Now we're going to go in with the pinstriping for our bed and breakfast tumbler, and I am not sure who these stripes came from. It's a semi-transparent, but I'm going to use the teal stripe from this semi-transparent vinyl, and then I'm going to use a holographic purpley pink shift vinyl to go over top. We are then going to go in with our bed and breakfast decal. We're going to apply that the same way we did our campfire one. And once I got that laid down, I decided that I felt like I wanted to add another mint colored nail tape over top of that holographic vinyl. I don't know why, I just kept feeling like it wasn't finished, so I went ahead and added that to the tumbler as well. For our campfire tumbler, we are going to do a marshmallow drip. For our coloring, we're going to use 1 drop of our Alumilite epoxy dye that is white, and then a couple scoops of our Pop's Beard from Simply Sarah's Micas, and I'm just going to mix those 2 together. Once it gets all mixed up, I'm going to go ahead and let this sit. I think I didn't add any thickeners, anything like that. This is KSRESIN Liquidy Split Ultra UV Epoxy. And I want to say I let it sit for about 25 minutes and it really started to thicken up. Once it got to the consistency that I liked, I went ahead and applied it to the top of the mixing cup there to make sure it wasn't going to drip too fast. And then I just went ahead and applied that to the top of my tumbler. Once I get that applied all to the top of the tumbler, I'm going to take my lighter. Now it's a little bit hard to see in this lighting, but you'll see it better at the end. The lighter is actually going to add like a smoke effect to the epoxy. It kind of, not sears it, it gives it like a cloudy look. You can kind of see it there. But I'm basically getting the roasted marshmallow look with using my lighter to pop those little air bubbles. Once we get that all applied, I'm sorry I forgot to push record again, I found these cute little s'mores on Etsy, so I went ahead and applied that right to the right side there. And then I took some faux mini marshmallows and added those to the top of the tumbler as well, just for a little bit of extra fun to the tumbler, and I really love how they looked. Once that drip is all cured, we're going to go in with 2 final coats of epoxy and our tumblers are done. I love, love, love these 311 Co. I absolutely love her vinyl, her decals. They are superb quality. If you have not tried her out, go ahead and do so. I will have her listed and linked in the description box below, as well as a discount code for you. But I hope that you guys loved watching along and following to see how I created these super fun tumblers. One is kind of for those fall nights and the other is a pastel take on a Halloween tumbler. So as you can see here, when we get closer up to that drip for our s'mores tumbler, you can really see that smoky effect that was added when we used our lighter. It turned out so, so good. It gave true marshmallow vibes. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments below. And I would love if you would like, subscribe, and click that bell button to be notified of any future tutorials. I will see you guys again next week. Have a fabulous rest of your weekend.